across the board. So the first thing that I want to get into, I want to talk about the difference between FICO and Vantage. And Thelma answered that one question, which is the most popular website that has the free credit scores. That's Credit Karma. So Credit Karma uses Vantage scores. Vantage 3.0 is what it's called. Now Vantage is not used by most major banks, most major lenders. Those companies don't use a version of Vantage. Okay, so basically, if you get a Vantage score, if you get your score from Credit Karma, no one's going to be able to do anything with that because the banks and lenders don't use Vantage scoring model, they use FICO. And the main difference between the two, between FICO and Vantage, is that Vantage has 6 components that make up a Vantage score, whereas FICO has 5. Okay? So the scores on average typically are about 50 points apart. So if you get your Vantage score, let's say from Credit Karma, and then if you had a bank or a mortgage lender pull credit, it's usually going to be 50 points apart or more. So don't get hung up on your Vantage scores. Are they important to know? Yes, they are, but can you use it anywhere, or is any lender or bank going to take it? More than likely, they're not going to take that. They're not going to go off of Vantage, they're going to go off of a FICO scoring model. So the theme of my presentation is 7 steps to a 750 credit score. So in step number 1 to improving your credit score is you got to get the x-rays to your credit score, which is also known as your credit report. So if you go to a doctor because you're sick or something's going on, the doctor's going to kind of check the vital signs, check the most important parts, but if there's something really going on, there's something really wrong, obviously the doctor's going to suggest we order x-rays, right, to see what is the root problem. Your credit report is essentially your x-rays to your credit score. So step number 1 to improving your score is to get a copy of your x-rays or your credit report. Now some really good sources, if you're going to go with getting your FICO scores, which I highly recommend, myfico.com is a great website to get your FICO scores. Privacyguard.com, I really like privacyguard.com because since we're in a workshop here to work towards becoming a homeowner, the whole concept is buying a house. What I like about PrivacyGuard is they use a credit expert score and it's very closely related to a mortgage score. What I've noticed is usually 10 points apart from the actual mortgage score. Okay, so that's a great way to find out where you are in relations to getting approved for a mortgage loan. Some mortgage companies want to see about a 580 to start the process. Some mortgage companies will fully approve you at 620, 640. So PrivacyGuard, getting your credit scores from PrivacyGuard versus Credit Karma is going to see how close you are to getting approved for a mortgage loan. If you want your Vantage scores just for pure knowledge sake, creditkarma.com or all3scores.com are 2 great websites to get your Vantage scores. And if you're a business owner, you can get your business scores from nav.com. You can get your Dun & Bradstreet and corporate experience scores from nav.com. So after you get your credit report, that's step number 1. Step number 2 is you need to audit your credit report. You need to go through it. You need to take some time. I would recommend printing it out, right? Get a red pen, a black pen, a highlighter, some scratch paper to take notes, and really go through it. Really audit it. Make sure that everything on your credit report is 100% accurate. So the first part of auditing your credit report, you're going to come across your personal information section. And this is where you have all the types of spellings of your name, the aliases of your name. Look at that first, okay? Make sure that among each 3 credit reporting bureaus, your name is spelled accurately, and it is the way that you want, it is the way that you apply for a loan or a credit, right? If you recently got married and you have a new, last name, and that's the name you want to use to apply for a loan or a credit in the future, then you want to make sure you get that corrected. You want to contact the credit bureaus with proof or some sort of evidence of your new last name, driver's license, a social security card, or even like a bill, maybe that you just got with your new last name, and say, this is my new last name, make sure that all my records reflect that. So you want to make sure that if there are any incorrect spellings of your name, making sure that you get that taken care of. Addresses you've never lived at before may be on there, or addresses you've never lived at or longer than 2 years ago, that's something you want to take a look at. You probably also want to get off your credit report entirely as well. Look for incorrect date of birth, wrong social security number, jobs you never worked at before. Those accounts, those type of items are items you don't want on your credit report because they're not correct and they should not be on your credit report. Typically after the personal information section, you're going to come across your inquiry section. Now these are places where if you ever applied for a loan or a line of credit, the bank or the lender would show up, by law, they're supposed to, show up as they check your credit report and to determine whether or not your your inquiry section. Make sure that everything on your inquiry section is over the last inquiries up to 2 years, but only for us. So it doesn't make sense to focus on because they're not relevant as it relates to your credit score. After inquiries, you come across your public records section. This is like the nasty section, I like to call it. You know, if you've ever filed bankruptcy before, if you have any unpaid federal or state taxes that were sent to the courthouse and then ended up on your credit report, that will show up in the public records section. Or any judgments. A judgment is where let's say you got sued for something. It could be for a broken lease. It could be for an unpaid credit card. The credit card company, the court can even pay it. And if you lose that suit, then the judge would award in the favor of whoever sued you, and they would have an amount that you'd have to pay back, also known as a judgment. If you don't show up to court to fight a judgment, that also would be put on your credit report. It's also known as a default judgment. So this is where a courthouse would end up in what's called the public record section of your credit report. What you want to look at, if you have any public records, let's say you filed bankruptcy, verify that they filed and anything, and kind of backing up a little bit, in order for an item to report on your credit report, it has to meet certain standards, as per the Fair Credit Reporting Act states that everything on your credit report has to be 100% accurate, 100% verified that it belongs to you, and 100% reporting within the statute of limitation, which is 7 years from the date of last delinquency. So any issue, even if it's a bankruptcy you did file, but the date that is on your credit report is incorrect, that's 99% accurate. Therefore, it should be removed because it's not 100% accurate. So look at bankruptcy filing dates. Look at, same thing with dates when it relates to judgments or tax liens. Look for balances or incorrect dates. Anything that's on there that's not 100% accurate should be disputed because it does not belong in your credit report unless it's 100% accurate and 100% verified that it belongs to you. The account section is the meat and potatoes. So typically when your credit score is calculated, most of the data is going to come from the account section. This is where credit cards you've had over your lifetime will report. This is where loans, auto loans, personal loans, mortgage loans, what else? Unpaid credit cards and charge-offs and collections. That information is going to end up on the account section. So same principle with public records, inquiries, personal information. If you see anything on there that is questionable, you're not sure if it's correct, you don't know if it belongs there, it doesn't look correct, dispute it. Okay? Because it has to be 100% correct in order to continue to report. So that's what auditing your credit report looks like. This is going to take some time. You want to fully go through your entire credit report, item by item, and make sure whatever looks questionable to you or you're not sure, highlight it, okay, and take lots of notes on your credit report. After you've audited your credit report, let's say you've went through your entire credit report, and now you have, all right, let's say there's 10 accounts. Like, okay, these are accounts that I should dispute because I don't know what they are, they're questionable, I don't think they're accurate. Let's say you have a couple of accounts you need to dispute. So step 3 is to dispute those errors. There's a couple of ways to do that. The best way to dispute an error on your credit report is to write a dispute letter and mail it to the credit reporting bureau that that item is reported to. So here are some tips for writing a dispute letter. You don't have to be a professional letter writer. You don't have to be an attorney. You don't have to be an expert in law. In fact, it's better if it's handwritten as well. You don't have to type it up and print it out. You can handwrite a letter to the bureau. So when writing a dispute letter, make sure you list the desired outcome of the item disputed. So let's say that you have, for example, you have a late payment on your credit report, and it wasn't late. Let's say you're 28 days late, but they marked you 30 days late, so therefore it's there in error. You don't want the entire account deleted because you probably have some good payment history, you probably have a good balance. You just want that late payment removed, right? So be specific. Tell the credit bureau, I was not late on this account. I want this late payment removed. If you're not specific, the bureau is going to do. They may not even do what you want them to do, which is to remove late payment. They may take the entire account off your credit score, and that could lower your score because all that history you built up is now gone. Now you have to get that item back on your credit report somehow. So be specific and tell the credit bureau exactly what you want to happen. Give a reason why you are disputing the account. Right? I reviewed this account, like the late payment, for example, just piggybacking off of that. I was 28 days late. I was not 30 days late. This account is reporting an error. Please remove this late payment off my credit report. Tip number 3, don't dispute everything all at one time. Let's say you do have 10 accounts. Don't do all at one time. They could red flag your credit report at 0. It's kind of delay the process a little bit. Do it in increments. 3 to 5 options. Don't get frustrated with the process. Just do a couple items at a time to reach the desired result that you're looking for. Tip 4, again, as I mentioned earlier, you don't have to sound like an expert in law. In fact, I would recommend that you didn't use legal verbiage and any kind of legalities and pointing out Fair Debt Collection Act. Probably just be genuine. Be who you are. Money rolls. Here's these accounts. I was not late on this account. I was 28 days late. Please remove the late payment off my credit report. Coffee stain on the letter, handwritten in crayon, whatever. Send it to the bureau. You're going to get the results you're looking for. I guarantee you. Be persistent. Don't give up. Time your disputes. So only send dispute letters every 30 to 45 days. Don't do them within days of each other and just inundate the bureau. Just time it apart. Do it about 30 to 45 days apart. And tip number 7 down the bottom, you can see, don't just dispute with the credit bureau. Follow up with those companies directly. So again, a Discover. Let's say the late payment is what was with Discover, and then let's say contact the bureau first, and then they take off the report the first time. Contact Discover directly too, and say, hey, look, there's this late payment on my report. It's not correct. I need it removed off my credit report. Contact them. You can contact your original creditor or the collector in writing as well, and you can find their addresses online. Step number 4, as you're working towards removing negative entries from your credit report, you also want to start building new credit. And if you're like me, I've attempted to lose weight several times in the past. And there's a method to the madness in trying to lose weight. And that is, it's 2 basic principles. Eat good and work out, right? If you do one or the other, you'll still see results, right? Maybe not as fast if you do both of them combined. And that's how credit repair is in a way. So work on the negative items is kind of like the workout part of it. But building new credit, creating new habits, paying things on time, lowering your balances, that's like the eating right portion of these. So combined efforts is what's going to allow you to see massive results and get you to that 750 plus score that you're looking for. Okay? So start to build new credit. There are 4 ways to go about building new credit if you have no credit. So tip number 1, check with your local bank or credit union. In fact, I would recommend a community bank if you're with a community bank, or a credit union, because they're going to do a little bit more for you as opposed to the big banks like Chase or Bank of America. The littler banks, the community banks, they go over and beyond for their members. So they'll find a way to get you some sort of opportunity to build credit, whether it be a secured CD or secured credit card or secured loan, whereas Chase and Bank of America, hopefully they start to kind of catch on to this, but they're the big banks, so they like to still base all their decisions based on credit. So it's kind of mind-boggling that you may have a checking account with Bank of America, you've been with them for 10 years, you say, I want to go and get a secured card, they'll say, okay, great, we'll run your credit, or your credit's bad, we're going to deny you, and it's a secured credit card, meaning you're looking to put the money up front. And so I kind of still don't get why they do that, but again, the big banks are known for doing that. If you're with a local bank or a credit union, contact them to see what kind of credit building programs that they do have. If you are with a big bank, or you don't have time to go down to your credit union or your local community bank, then I would recommend tip number 2, which is to get a secured credit card online. Now, a website where you can get secured credit cards online is getsecuredcards.com. These are companies that we've personally vetted, that we have recommended a lot of our own clients to get on, and we've seen it report, we've seen it improve their score. These are good companies that offer secured credit cards. These are online companies that specialize solely on secured credit cards. So that means that you're going to probably not recognize a couple of their names, okay? Because they're online banks that focus only on secured credit cards. Some of them are Open Sky, that's a good one, and First Progress is another good secured credit card company. Again, these are banks, but you're not going to really recognize them because they're online banks that focus only on secured credit cards. Tip number 3, if that's not an option, then tip number 3 is if you have a family member or if you have, let's say, your spouse that has an account that had for maybe 10 years and it's got perfect payment history, low balance, look to get added as an authorized user. And now, backing up a little bit, I recommend spouse or family member. Do not get added onto someone's account when you don't know. Okay? There are companies out there that sell authorized user opportunities, and quite frankly, they're, in my opinion, I view them as fraudulent activities. You want to stay away from that, not only because of the fraud that can occur from it, but also from the fact that you have no control over that account. You have no control over what that person on the other end is going to do. If they start missing payments, if they start racking up the debt, that's going to affect your score too. So I would always recommend get with a spouse or a family member and make sure that the account that you get added to has long payment history, no late payments, low balances, and that would be a good account to get added to. If you do that, when contacting the credit card company to get added as an authorized user, make sure they ask for your social security number, because if they don't, then chances are they're just going to give you a card if you have access to the line of credit, but it's not going to report to your credit report. You need it to report to your credit report. Tip number 4, I like this option a lot because if the authorized user is not an option, if the local bank or credit union is not an option, or you don't have time to go to and do that, or the secured credit card is an option, but coming up with the funds to open up a secured card, let's say that takes a little bit of time to work towards. But tip number 4 is really cool. Get a personal loan through one of these short-term lenders. Not payday loans. Stay far away from payday loans. Okay, you'll never get out of it. But do a Google search for, here's a couple companies, World Finance near me, so type in World Finance near me, or Security Finance. These are some good companies that offer small short-term loans. They'll typically do like a $300 to $500 short-term personal loan. It's a 6 to 9 month payback typically, and they report the payments to your credit report. What I would recommend doing, if you're approved for that, take those funds that you're approved for and use those funds to open up a secured credit card. Now you have 2 accounts on your credit report that you make payments to and will report to your credit report. Okay, so those are the 4 ways right out the gate to start building some new credit if you have no credit whatsoever. Step 5 when you start building credit